All right, everybody, welcome back. I've got another optic review for you guys today. What if I told you there's an optic out there that is digital, has a built-in rangefinder, has ballistic calculations to project an aiming point for you based on your range. You can record 4K 120 frames per second video through it. It's both daytime and night vision compatible, and it can be used on both a firearm or a crossbow, and it's under $700. That, you guys, is the Commander NV400 Eagle from OneLeaf, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So stay tuned. All right, let's take a quick look at the Commander NV400 Eagle from OneLeaf, you guys. So to be perfectly transparent, I did receive this optic from OneLeaf for free to do this review video on for you guys. And this is a really cool optic that is absolutely packed with features that I'm going to explain throughout this video. And a lot of it we're going to explain over on my computer. But first, I want to give you guys a look at the outside of the optic. It looks very much like a traditional optic, but it is fully digital. This right here mounted off to the side, that is your rangefinder. What is not shown currently on the optic is the IR illuminator that is removable, that you can attach to the optic for night vision mode. But it is night vision and daytime compatible, like I said, and it's got a really simple user interface, you guys. It's got just a few buttons over here in this knob, this or dial, to navigate through basically everything you need to navigate through. So here, this button, you can toggle between your daytime starry, which would be like dusk, or night vision modes. You've got a button here that can change your brightness settings, or you can do your video or picture playback on. Here is your record video or capture still images. And then kind of the main button and main dial that you use throughout a lot of the optics and navigating menus and stuff is this top button here, as well as this dial. So if you push and hold this, you will bring up your settings menu, and then you can navigate through the settings menu with this dial here and hit it as an OK, or press and hold to exit the menus. Makes it really easy for navigating through the menu when you're looking through the optic. This dial is also your digital zoom. So what I'll show you guys here on the computer is it's digital zoom up to 26x on this particular model, and it's very simple to just dial it in, dial it out when you're wanting to zoom in on an object. And this particular button as well, if when you're looking through the optic, if you just press it and tap it, you'll see a flag icon appear inside the like the screen on the optic. And what that flag icon is that's your rangefinder. So that's to like activate and deactivate your rangefinder, which is a continuous like scanning rangefinder when you're using the optic. Also really easy to adjust. Here is your focus for near or far for the object that you're looking at, and then your focus here for looking at the screen inside of the optic. So let's head over to my computer, you guys, so I can show you all of the features and what you can expect when you're looking through the NV400 Eagle from OneLeaf. All right, now that we're over here on my computer, let's go through all the features that the NV400 Eagle has to offer. And the reason we're over here on the website, you guys, is me trying to film with my phone through the optic. Like, it did not look good at all. It was going to be no value for you guys. And OneLeaf actually did a really nice job setting up the website and showing you all the examples and features that the NV400 Eagle has to offer. Before we get started, though, just want to say as a disclaimer, make sure you guys are checking your state and local regulations for whether or not a digital optic, and specifically a digital optic that is night vision compatible, is legal for the weapon type that you are planning on putting it on, as well as the game, time of year, things like that that you are going to be pursuing. You can remove the IR illuminator from it, that you guys are legal putting this optic on in the state that you're in. With that said, I've got the NV400 Eagle, which is a 2-26 by 50 digital optic. There is another variant of this, and that is just the NV400, which is a 4-52 by 50 digital optic. Differences between them: one has more digital zoom, the other, which I'm told from OneLeaf, has better low light capabilities. So they gave me the option on which one I wanted to review, and I chose the Eagle, the one with better low light capabilities. You can get this with or without a rangefinder. So with the rangefinder, either version is going to be $683 from the OneLeaf website, and you can find these as well on Amazon. Or you can get it without the rangefinder, and you can save a little bit of money. It's going to be $500 without the rangefinder. And you've also got an option of memory card. It's going to come with a 64 gigabyte memory card. If you wanted to bump that up to a 128 gigabyte memory card, you can for a little extra cost on either one of them. Scrolling down through the website, you guys are going to see an example of them filming through this optic in that 4K 120 frames per second video. And you can dial that down if you want to. That's the highest resolution you can film in, but you can film in lower res if you don't want to use up your memory card or simply just don't need that higher resolution. And remember, you can take still images through the optic as well. Here is an example of using the zoom. And again, it's a 2 to 26 zoom on it, but I'm going to say, what you guys are seeing here, this is like the main screen, the big screen that you're looking at through the optic. And what that is a 1 to 13x, and the 26x comes in if you choose the picture-in-picture option. I'm going to show you guys that here in a second down below. But you can turn on or turn off a picture-in-picture where there's going to be a little screen here, and that little screen is going to also have an aiming point that is going to be 2x of your main screen. So for the Eagle, your main screen is capable from 1 to 13. If you had the picture-in-picture and you had it zoomed in all the way, you'd be seeing 13 on the main screen. You'd be seeing 26 on the picture-in-picture, and you do that zoom, that digital zoom adjustment by the dial or the knob that you see up here on the top. You've got 3 different modes for this optic. Daytime, pretty self-explanatory. You've got a starry mode, which is non-IR illuminator, so that's either off or removed from the optic, but you're utilizing the optic in a way that is just going to gather some more light. So dawn, dusk, really cloudy days, things like that. You can get a really good picture through it with that starry mode with no IR illuminator. And then obviously there's the full-on night vision mode using that IR illuminator to be able to see in complete darkness. And with that IR illuminator, it's going to be good up to 437 yards. And you can adjust the focus of the beam just for whatever your hunting conditions are, whatever it is that you're pursuing. And there's 3 different power levels, 1 to 3, with that night vision mode and that IR illuminator. So if we look at this screen right here, this is actually a really good one to show some of the other features of the optic. Let's first talk about the rangefinder. You guys are going to see kind of this white oval shape here. That is the rangefinder, and it's actually going to be a visible, basically like laser pulse when you're in the night mode. And what OneLeaf instructs you to do is, because you can see that through the optic in night mode, but it's less visible during the daylight modes, you actually have a rangefinder aiming point. So it's not the same as the crosshairs. It's not like the center of the crosshairs or anything like that. Because the unit is mounted off to the side, it's going to have a different, basically, aiming point than that of the crosshairs. So when you can see it in the night mode, you can move over this little yellow box to exactly where your rangefinder is so that you know where it is in the daylight or the starry mode. So different aiming point for the rangefinder versus you actually, firing your weapon. But it's pretty cool that you just dial that right in. The range here is displayed up top. When I've been using the optic, it can be also displayed, right here along your crosshairs, and it's an, I don't know what you want to call it, like an active or a scanning rangefinder. So when it's on, that little laser is going to be pulsing, and it's going to be actively reading ranges wherever you've got your little rangefinder aiming point at. If you turn it off and you look at the projected aiming points, it is going to save the projected aiming point for the last range that you had. And I'll show you the projected aiming points here in a minute, but it will be vertical along your crosshairs. Also looking at the screen here, you've got your digital zoom, what magnification that you're at. Again, this example, 5x. If you had the picture-in-picture going, which I'll show you here in a second, that picture-in-picture with a little aiming point would be 10x. The optic also has a gyroscope in it. So you're going to be able to know north, south, east, west, which way you are pointing, as well as your tilt, which is right here of the optic, and your cant, your side to side of the optic. And there's a way you can calibrate that when you first get the optic to make sure that all of that stuff is reading appropriately. You've also got down here what you are filming in, if you are recording, and whether or not you are recording. You've got the mode that you're in. So this particular one right now is in night vision mode, but it would show you whether you're in day mode, starry mode, or night mode. Here, which I'll show you guys in a second, is basically your saved aiming point. So you can save multiple aiming points for this particular optic, which I think is really cool. Your brightness setting of your screen, how much memory card you've got, and then your battery life. So scrolling down here, this is where we'll talk about the aiming points. It's got what they call a one-shot zero. So basically, when you fire whatever it is, arrow, bullet, and wherever it is that you hit, you can just digitally move your crosshairs over to where your impact was and save that. So like fire a shot, have everything locked down, continue to aim at, the bullseye that you were aiming at, but just go ahead and move your aiming point over to where your bullet hit or your arrow hit and save that. And then you're essentially sighted in with some few tweaks if you want at longer ranges. With that said, your aiming point is going to stay, like your crosshairs are going to stay on the screen wherever it is that you saved it. So in this particular instance, it's low and to the right. Your crosshairs are going to stay low and to the right. They're not going to recenter in the middle of the screen. So that might be something that some of you guys have to get used to, or maybe that's something that, visually you might not like, but that's just how this particular digital optic is set up, in that it's going to move the aiming point for you, but then wherever you move it for how you sight it in, that's where it's going to stay. What is really cool, though, is that you can save up to 6 aiming points or 6 like sight-ins, whatever you would want to call it. So if we saved this one that you see as an example as number 1, if you translated this from, let's say, a 223 to a crossbow, you could save number 2 as a crossbow sight-in. You could save number 3 as a, 243. You could save number 4 as a 350 legend. All those type of things. You can save up to 6 of them. So if you want to translate this optic from one weapon to another, you can save all those different profiles for each weapon. So you've got a really fast, basically sighted in optic for all of them. You just got to, you should check your optic before you go out hunting. But it just makes it really fast, really easy for you to use this on multiple different weapons. Your rangefinder is going to be capable up to 1,100 yards. And it's got a ballistic calculator. This is what I was alluding to before, and this is a really good screen to show that ballistic calculator. So it's got a bunch of different information, you guys, that you can input into the ballistic calculator to get a projective aiming point. And that aiming point is active as your rangefinder is actively ranging. So as you're ranging an object and as those numbers are changing, that aiming point is going to move up and down. You can put a lot of different information into here: velocity, weight, ballistic coefficient, altitude, temperature, sight and height, zero range, wind speed, like a whole bunch of different stuff. And this is what I need to play with to see how well it works. But essentially, in this particular image here, you're ranging. Here is where the rangefinder aiming point is. That's, how far this elk is. And then here is where, for this particular, looks like firearm, where it's telling this individual to aim based on what they input and the range that they have. Now, if you turn off the rangefinder, that aiming point, from what I've been playing with at least, is going to stay at the last range that it had when you clicked it off. So if you can see that little pulse in there, and maybe it's like annoying you, or you just don't want active ranges or active things moving around a whole bunch, as you range it, If you turn that range off, that aiming point is going to stay at the last range. You turn it back on, and it's going to start moving around again to the range. And this is what I want to try, you guys, with a crossbow with an arrow, because this optic is intended for a firearm. But from what I've seen, what I can input, I think I can make this work for an arrow, and that's what we're going to try. And similar to your sight-in profiles, you can save, again, 6 ballistic profiles. And to go with, you can basically choose, sight-in profile 1, ballistic profile 1, or sight-in profile 2, ballistic profile 4. Doesn't matter. You can mix and match them, but you can translate it through multiple different weapons with both the sight-in as well as the ballistic profiles and the projected aiming points based on range, which is really, really cool. Here you've got the different reticles. You've got 6 different reticles, 5 different colors that you can choose from, whichever, is best for you. You can toggle between them. You've got also first focal plane or second focal plane. So this is a great, example, animated images of what that exactly means. First focal plane means your crosshairs are going to enlarge as you zoom in. Second focal plane means as you zoom in, your crosshairs stay the exact same size. Your preference, whatever it is that you like, you can select that in the menu. Here is the picture-in-picture that I was talking about. So here is where you're going to get that full, at least on the Eagle, 26x digital zoom. So in this particular instance, the main screen is at 6x, which means the picture-in-picture is at 12x. And your aiming point, this aiming point here in the picture-in-picture, is exactly the same as the center of the aiming point in your main screen. And that, again, no matter where it is that you have it sighted in, if this optic, if you have it sighted in, like we showed in the example, if it's kind of moved over to the right and a little low, and that's where the aiming point is intended to be, this is just showing where that aiming point is up in the picture-in-picture, exactly where the center of crosshair is. So I think that's pretty cool. I've really liked playing with this a little bit, having that picture-in-picture for, getting that maximum magnification, or instances where you want to get on target fast. You can do that in the main screen, and then when you're really ready to make the shot, you don't have to necessarily zoom in any farther. It's already 2x whatever it is that you zoomed in on before. You've got that in the picture-in-picture, which is pretty cool. Here's just talking about the gyroscope or compass gyroscope and those features which we explained before. Here's something that is also really cool. So it's a dual power system. So it's got internal batteries that are rechargeable, and it's also got external batteries that are rechargeable. So I messaged OneLeaf. They said the optic will draw from the internal batteries first, and then it will go to the external batteries for power. And the external batteries fit right here under this cap. And what you can do if you want to, you can use a smaller one with the cap that's provided, and that is usually what you would use if you have the IR illuminator attached. They do supply another battery cap for this external one where you can use the bigger battery from the IR illuminator actually in the optic. So it's basically just like an extended cap that will allow you to use that battery also in the optic. So what that means basically, you guys, is you've got 2 battery sources, one that you can, or both of them that you can recharge, but one that you can swap out really easily in the field for extended battery life, which I think is phenomenal. They've recoil tested this. I don't exactly know what firearm it's capable of being used on, but obviously if you're going to use it on something like a crossbow, which is what I want to try it on, it's going to be just fine for something like that. It is a pretty cool and very feature rich optic package that you get, and you get all of this stuff that comes in the box with either the NV400 Eagle or the NV400. So you get the unit that itself, you get several different eye cups to adjust for eye relief looking at that digital screen. It's going to come with the rings for it. It's going to come with that removable IR illuminator. It's going to come with an HDMI cable as well as a Type-C, one you can use to charge the internal batteries, another you can use to display what is on the screen for you. It's going to come with a SD card. It's going to come too with a lens cap and a sunshade. So depending on whether you're in, daytime mode, starry mode, or night mode, especially in daytime mode where you don't want to overexpose the optic to sunlight, you can change via either just the lens cap or the lens cap with a sunshade, how much light is entering the optic, basically giving you the clearest picture possible. If you've got a ton of light, you're probably going to want that sunshade or at least the cap. And then obviously as you move into starry mode or the nighttime mode, you're going to want that optic to gather as much light as possible. It's going to come with Allen wrench, to mount everything, make adjustments, a lens cloth to clean stuff. And then if you've got the rangefinder option, it's going to have that rangefinder attached on there too. So I really want to try, you guys, this on a crossbow to see how well that projected aiming point stuff works and whether or not it's compatible, because there's a lot of optics out there for crossbows today and a lot of them that are really good. They're awesome. This is just another option. And if this one will work with the range, the projected aiming point, me inputting some of these different things into it as far as the ballistic calculator goes, if it'll work for a crossbow and be able to translate to a firearm, I see a lot of value in an optic that has all of these features. That is the overview on the Commander NV400 Eagle. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We're going to get this on a crossbow soon and actually test it out to see if that calculator is going to work. And hey, if you guys did enjoy this video and you're interested in some other optic videos, go ahead and check out this video right here for some more content. We'll see you guys soon on the next video. Take care, God bless, and remember, be a sportsman, make a sportsman.